Story 1. Am I the a-hole for wanting to break up with my boyfriend after he wanted to get his daughter to sleep in our bedroom during our road trip and never told me that she was spending the night? My female 40 boyfriend, female 39, and I took a road trip to celebrate my career milestone. I cut it short after 4 days, and I'm currently leaning towards ending our relationship. We planned it for 12 weeks. I covered the accommodations and he would cover meals and fuel. We were to leave by 6 a.m. on the first day, but he didn't show up until early in the afternoon after constantly telling me that he was already out of his house. But then I had to call him because it doesn't take hours to get to my place. First, it was his family needing something. Then he had to meet with a coworker, etc. By the time he showed up, I was furious and frustrated. We stopped for gas, and he went to the public restroom and said to just fill it up, on my dime, and he would take care of whatever else had to be purchased next time. He only covered one meal that day and complained when I wanted some snacks. On the third day, he wanted to meet with his ex-mother-in-law and father-in-law, out of state, and pick his daughter up. 17th female. His daughter lives in our town. I agreed, as we had talked about her spending most of the day with us. I was weirded out that she was carrying a backpack and found out, while driving, that he had invited her to stay with us, in our bedroom, without even asking me. I tried not to make a scene, but I'm sure my face said it all. I told him privately that he needed to pay for a separate room so that she could stay with us. He blew up at me, accused me of being two-faced and faking loving his kid. He also accused me of having agreed to let her stay over, but that's simply not true. I would have made arrangements for a small suite or connecting rooms or something. Our room had no spare bed, and we had planned on having sex every night. I would not be comfortable having to squeeze myself in bed with them because he made a unilateral decision, and I didn't want her to sleep on the floor, both because of privacy and because it felt like a put-down and it wasn't her fault. He said that I was creating situations and trying to burn a hole in his pocket, but he rented an extra room. He came back about 30 minutes later to get his toothbrush and some belongings to go spend the night with his kid and slammed the door. I spent a horrible night both hoping that he would come back to work things out and feeling both guilty and very disrespected. Next morning, she was nice as usual, but he gave me the silent treatment. I tried to talk to him, and he low-key barked at me that I ruined everything and that I killed all his attraction for me. I tried to control myself and avoided crying, but whenever I looked at him, he looked angry and kind of going on a power trip. I asked if we could talk later, and he buried his face into his phone. I drove his daughter back to her grandparents and kept driving back home, and when he asked where I was going, I said the road trip was canceled. I left him at his house and drove back to the rest of the trip, but didn't enjoy it at all. He called me several times, but I didn't answer. I'm not even trying to punish him. I'm not going to go over a conversation with someone who said he's not attracted to me. I already put all of his stuff in a box so that I can return all of his personal belongings. I'm very confused. We've had arguments like the next couple, but never like this. I'm rethinking and trying to figure out if not allowing his daughter in our bedroom was an insult or what. He has joint custody, so he sees her all the time. I'm also pissed that maybe he wasn't planning on honoring our agreement since I had to push him and remind him to buy our meals and fill up the tank. Am I the a-hole? Now, for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your boyfriend's actions show a pattern of disrespect and lack of communication. He made major decisions, like inviting his daughter to stay overnight in your shared bedroom, without consulting you, which is a boundary issue. His reaction anger, silent treatment, and accusing you of being two-faced was unfair and dismissive. Add to that his disregard for financial agreements during the trip and showing up late, and it's understandable why you feel frustrated. You're not obligated to stay in a relationship where you feel disrespected or unimportant. Trust your instincts. Not the a-hole. You don't mention how long you have been with him, but his behavior was really obnoxious. Does he usually behave this way? Together almost 2 years. He's very peculiar about his family, but he never did anything to take from me to give to them or treated me harshly. I'm pretty sure he resents your career milestone. Does it by any chance mean you now earn or will be earning more than him in the future? Here's why I ask. 1. He pulls a power move and shows up late. You might have a career achievement, but you had to wait on him. 2. He didn't want to pay his way. He got you to pay for the fuel, and he decided to get bumsy when he had to pay for food and snacks. Why? If you're earning more, because he thinks it's now your job to foot the bill. 3. The daughter in the bed. Unless he's effed in the head, that was never his plan. If you're now earning more than him, he expected you to pay for a room for her. After all, you make more than him, so you should foot the bill. When you made him pay for his own child, you showed him that you aren't going to let him raid your wallet, and that's why he had a tantrum. He expects you to be his meal ticket. He expected you to grovel to him when he gave you the silent treatment and told you that he's not attracted to you. So, if I'm right, he was planning to be a gold digger himself, hence why he basically acted like you're one. Even if I'm not, he's greedy, cheap, selfish, manipulative, immature, bitter. Even if you're not earning more, I guarantee he's pissed that you're doing well at work and wanted to know you down a peg or two to show you who's boss. And basically, a crap bag. Dump him, move on, and let him try to win over another woman with his crappy, bitter personality. Thanks. Please, I hope you don't get back with him. Don't engage with him, it's just gonna give him the ammo to argue and make you feel bad. Yeah, sometimes they do drop their mask later on, even up to 20 years LOL. Some women live with serious killers and they had no idea. Not that he is, but the point is, they start acting up whenever they want. I hope he stays in the dust and good luck OP. No, I don't have any intention of patching things up. I feel too hurt to see any future with him. Not the a-hole who invites their 17-year-old daughter to stay the night and doesn't get an extra room. He's tossing red flags at you. Not the a-hole. Girl, he turned your career milestone trip into the adventures of his ex-mother-in-law, daughter, and budget gas fill-ups without even consulting you. He wanted a slumber party with his daughter in your shared bedroom, and now he's mad that you ruined his power trip. Sounds like he needs a co-pilot for his life's chaos, not a girlfriend. Also, let's not ignore the fact that he contributed less to this trip than the free peanuts at a gas station. You deserve better than this man-child who treats joint custody like an excuse to ambush your plans. Pack his box, return it, and move on with your life. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not giving the dollhouse I built to my niece, but to my wife as a gift? It's not a dollhouse, but I didn't want anyone to think I was being misleading on purpose by saying I built a house. I, 28 male, made my wife, 28 female, a replica of a house that's known to fans of a musician, but wouldn't mean much to others. It's about 2 feet tall and wasn't very complicated to build, but my wife had said a few times over last year that she thought it would be cool to have for little trinkets. She's like a crow with her trinkets. I love it. She didn't know I was making it for her, but I did sneakily involve her in its creation through having her make a couple TikToks when we were out together so I could get the colors right. She has no idea, LOL. I was excited, so I showed a picture to my brother. He told me it was cool, but didn't get the purpose. He showed it to my niece, Ava, 13 female, who knew what it was and said she wanted one too. My brother asked if I would give it to Ava for her birthday. I said no, it's for my wife, but I could make one with Ava. It would help teach her some basic woodworking skills which they don't do in schools here anymore. I'd like that. Brother said if it was so easy, then I could make a second one for my wife and just give this one to Ava since her birthday is the end of the month. Again, I said no. This was done specifically for my wife. He seemed to accept that, but then came back to me and said, "Isn't it a little weird to make a dollhouse for an adult woman?" I told him it's not a dollhouse, just a fancy shelf. He argued that makes it worse because Ava would actually play with it. He must have gone to complain to Mom about it, he is the younger brother, because Mom called me to tell me that it was stupid to give my wife a dollhouse. I tried to explain that it's not a dollhouse, but she just kept saying, "That's stupid." This weekend I was at their house and Ava kept bringing up the house and laying it on thick with statements like, "I've always wanted one just like it." She kept asking why my wife wanted a dollhouse. I said it's not a dollhouse, but she kept asking why she needed a dollhouse. I told my brother that he was encouraging his kid to be manipulative, and I really didn't like it. So I was going to leave. He told me that I was dangling the house over her head like McDonald's and teasing her, and that it made me a bad uncle. Being a good uncle is important to me, and I do feel for the girl because she's a big fan too. I admit I have a blind spot for this because I don't have kids, and maybe I shouldn't have shared the picture with my brother to begin with. Am I really the asshole for not just giving it to her? Yes, it was easy to make, and I could make another quickly. Sorry, guys. Ava isn't my brother's biological daughter. There's a long story involved that I didn't want to add, but I should have realized the age would be surprising. I still see her as my niece regardless, but I get why that would be alarming. Nothing bad happened or anything. Now for the comments. I'm guessing the dollhouse is a replica of the lover house? If it's anything like I'm imagining or what I've seen online, it is more like a fancy storage display for her Taylor Swift memorabilia rather than a toy anyway. Not the a-hole in either case, OP. It's your creation that you get to gift to whoever you want. Yeah, it's the lover house. I didn't know if I said that directly if it was going to affect what people said, because of how weird people are about her. My brother asked if I would give it to Ava for her birthday. Damn, that's assumptive, LOL. What an entitled ask. Brother said if it was so easy, then I could make a second one for my wife and just give this one to Ava since her B-day is the end of the month. Ballsy demand. This was done specifically for my wife. He seemed to accept that, but then came back to me and said, "Isn't it a little weird to make a dollhouse for an adult woman?" Resorting to belittling and insulting comments about your wife when he doesn't get his way. He must have gone to complain to Mom about it, he is the younger brother, because Mom called me to tell me that it was stupid to give my wife a dollhouse, enlisting a flying monkey to amp up the pressure to get his way. He told me that I was dangling the house over her head like McDonald's and teasing her, and that it made me a bad uncle. I'm not sure how you can't see what an a-hole your brother is. He's manipulative, insulting, and a terrible parent too, teaching his child to be just like himself. I wouldn't give them a single thing. However, if you want to, offer to make one with your niece. Your idea about using the project to teach woodshop is excellent. You are a good uncle. You just won't let your brother walk all over you, and he doesn't like that. Tough titties, LOL. It's important that you show them you have enough self-respect to not allow them to take advantage of you. You are not the a-hole. Your brother is a massive one. Not the a-hole. Your brother is being weirdly entitled, and he's encouraged Ava to act like a nuisance about it too. Your solution to make one with your niece sounded like a really nice idea. At this rate, I wouldn't be willing to help her make one or make one for her at all. This is ridiculous behavior from your brother, and now his daughter is being influenced. Unacceptable. Do not cave in on this. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for no longer updating my ex on our child's school stuff? I split up with my ex almost 2 years ago. My child started school the same year. My ex was never too involved in our child's educational needs, even when she was a toddler. I handled it all myself. My child's school offers multiple apps and websites. You can be up to date with everything without ever having to contact anyone. I asked my ex repeatedly to get at least the main apps, so that I don't have to keep reminding him of important dates and our child's progress. He didn't care. Just a few examples. Whenever I asked to make a plan for any school break, he'd ask when the school break is. I sent him links to the school website, but he couldn't even be bothered to save a screenshot, make a note of the dates, etc. So he'd ask again next time around too. He couldn't be bothered to update his phone number in the school records, so the office couldn't contact him during an emergency. I informed him about all parent-teacher meetings. He said he couldn't make it, and that it made sense for me to go because he didn't know the teachers, even in September, when neither of us knew the new teachers. Side note, he doesn't work, I do. So I thought it was logical to have him attend, so I wouldn't have to take time off work to do so. I'd send him any important dates, school plays, any shows, sports events, etc. He'd pick and choose the ones not involving much interaction. Reading together on the World Book Day was a no-go, but watching the kids race was okay, etc. I'd even invite him to events organized by any clubs my kids is in, clubs I organized and paid for myself. But he always had an excuse unless the events fell on his weekends. Even then, he'd sometimes ask me to swap the weekends. I accepted it for over a year for the sake of peace. I wanted my kid to see her dad support her achievements too. But it's been so long, and I'm just tired of having to both handle the responsibility and remember to give him updates about it. It also felt like I was trying to make him involved when he clearly wasn't interested. So last autumn, I announced to him that it was on him to stay up to date with our child's school stuff. I gave him 2 weeks to get everything sorted. I even listed all the important app websites so he wouldn't miss anything. The only one I didn't share was a payment portal, as I knew he wouldn't care about that one. I promised to still share any information passed via written notes, letters, etc., as obviously he would not have access to those otherwise. I followed through with it. It took him 2 months to realize what's happened, and now he's furious, saying that I'm using the child against him. He got his family involved, and now they are all bombarding me with texts saying that I'm the asshole for doing it to him and our child. His mother also pointed out that she'd done everything herself as well and didn't involve her husband in the school stuff. So she knows it's not that hard, and I'm being dramatic. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. He's your ex, not your partner, so his mom's argument doesn't stand. Just because she puts up with useless partners, you don't have to do the same. Exactly what are you doing to him? You're not keeping him from any information. You're not locking him out. You gave him all the access he needs to find the information himself. The only thing you did was help him. Repeatedly. Send that to your ex-family and tell them to leave you alone or block them. If he can't be bothered to be involved, that's not on you. With this much weaponized incompetence, he's lucky to hold a job. Does he ask his boss to read out his emails for him and manage his calendar as well? Or is he suddenly capable of normal adulting when it doesn't concern you? Funny you should say that, because he doesn't have a job. That's why I secretly hoped he'd step up and be a team player, at least during my work hours. You're not the a-hole. He doesn't care enough about his own child to make the effort to be involved. He got his family involved, and now they are all bombarding me with texts saying that I'm the a-hole. Block them. That lazy a-hole spent more effort whining to his family than he spent trying to be involved in his daughter's life. His mother also pointed out that she'd done everything herself as well and didn't involve her husband in the school stuff. Tell her that her 1950s attitude and her husband's laziness raised her son to be a lazy, disinterested father. Then block her. Not the a-hole. Managing a child's education is definitely a tag team effort, and it sounds like you've been the solo champion for way too long. It's 2025, not the Stone Age. He can definitely use an app or two to keep up. You've given him all the tools he needs to stay informed. It's on him to use them. His reaction sounds like a classic case of mad because he got called out. Stick to your guns. You're not the school's personal secretary, and it's totally fair to expect him to take some initiative. Maybe this wake-up call will encourage him to step up. Finally, keep focusing on what's best for your kid, and let him figure out his app passwords. Why are you still in contact with his family? Block them. Listen to what he is saying with his actions. He is not interested in your child. Stop being codependent with him. All this information is available to him if he cared to look. Relax. You are not responsible for your daughter having a relationship with her father. I'm not really in touch with his family. I've not heard from them for a while, so the spam was surprising. I've blocked them. I do appreciate that I was the a-hole to myself for over a year, and I do get what you're saying. It was just a mom guilt kicking in and making me try to do everything to keep my kid happy. That's why I tried to get him involved in her school events. I luckily have changed my ways now, and am ready to relax, like you said, and make him sort out his priorities. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.